Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is ALYAA binti ROSALI from the IB6, numeric 049079, and I am from group 3.
Hi everyone, my name is RADZUAN bin YUSOF. My metric number is 049394 and I am student from Diploma in Banking Semester 6.
Hello and Assalamualaikum. My name is NURUL binti ROSDI. My metric number is 048922 and I'm from Diploma in Banking 6.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. I am SOFEA MAHADI from the IB6 049212.
Hi, my name is Ikmal Safwan bin SAHARUDIN, metric number 048082, and from group 3.
My name is NURUL FATINAH binti HASHIM. My matrix numbers is 048067. Today, my groups want to present about the topic Aitab.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and I'm going to present about the principle of that bank should be practiced for loan operation. Okay, there are 5 principles that banks need to follow to make loan with the customers. Okay, the first is liquidity. Okay, the liquidity is very important for short-term financing to meet obligation for lending operation. Okay, the banks have must sufficient liquidity, and when the banks have a sufficient liquidity, they can work as a lender to make a financing with the customers, and also it can give a loan with the customers very efficiently because they have a sufficient liquidity for that bank. Okay, the second is safety. Okay, the safety must bank to monitor the customers to repay the loan at that time. Okay, to avoid the default risk, the bank must monitor the customers to able to make repayment for the loan, because when the customer have a default risk, the bank does not able to operate their operation, and also the bank can repossess the vehicle when the customer have a default risk. Okay, and the third point is diversification. Okay, the banks need have a diversification for the investment portfolio requirement. Okay, a bank should follow the maxim: do not keep all eggs in the basket, because when we put more of the investment and asset, the risk will be worse depending on the economic performance and the banking operation management. Okay, second last is purpose of lending. Okay, the purpose of lending needs to be clear, specified before making the lending operation. Okay, without a clear information about the financing, the customer will be confused and also does not have any information about the financing. Okay, to avoid the illegal financing, the banks must include all the terms and conditions about the rules and regulation before making loan with the customers. And the last thing is profitability. Okay, the bank should make a profit for their banking business, because when the banking business have a more profit, they can develop their business all over the world. And also, it is important to the bank to avoid fraud losses, and the banks may have charges the interest after the customer that make repayment. Okay, when the customer have made a repayment and also made repayment in overdue, the bank can charge and also give an interest for the bank for the customers to making a profit for the banking business operation. Okay, that's all for me, and we go to the next slide.
Okay, I'm going to the next slide. Okay, for the next slide, and I'm going to explain about the 5 credit that the customers should have. Okay, for this explanation is included the characters of the customers. Okay, for the characters of the customers, the bank should meet the customer that have a commitment and also have a comprehensive to repayment loan. Okay, it must have, the banks have to monitor for the history records, business history, and what kind of the business the customers operate. Okay, to choose the characters, the banks should aware to choose a very good customers to repay when the loan, and also it can complete and it can minimize the risk of the payment of the loan. Okay, capacity. Okay, the capacity of the customers able and a commitment and have money and also have a sufficient repayment of the loan. When the banks should have to look the financial statement and also income statement of the customers, it may be have a good capacity of the business and also have a good performance of the business, and it can include the good reputation to avoid a default risk. Okay, the next is a capital. Okay, for the capital, the banks are very happy and also likely that customer have a capital in their own. Okay, for the example of the capital is an investment. When the customer have an investment portfolio in their own, the banks might be has a good looking for the customers when they have a commitment, big commitment of the repaying the loan. Okay, the second last is a condition. Okay, for the condition of the customers, the banks should have to monitor the business operation. Okay, the banks must monitor the operation of the business of the customers. Is it good and is it bad, and also is it developed, and also is it undeveloped of the business reputation. And that's one more thing is when the customer have a good reputation of the business, the bank might should to include the good reputation of the customer to repaying the loan. And also the last thing is a collateral. Okay, collateral, they have 3 types of the collateral: secured loan, partly secured loan, and also unsecured loan. Okay, this is the last option of the customers when the customer does not able to repay the loan, and also it is the last option and of the last resort for the bank to take a loan as to take collateral as a backup of the loan when the customer unable to meet the date to make repayment of the loan. Okay, that's it for me.
Okay, next is features of the product. The first is Aitab and Kabul. The contract entered into by offers, which is Aitab, and acceptance Kabul between the contracting parties. In these offers and acceptance, the evidence by appropriate documentation or record. The terms and conditions of the Ijarah contract that have been mutually agreed upon by contracting parties and are consistent with the Sharia shall be binding on the contracting parties. The Aitab and Kabuls were conducted through many ways, such as face-to-face, by phones, and others. The second is contracting parties. For contracting parties shall be a natural person or legal entity who shall have the legal capacity. demise of either contracting parties that does not automatically dissolve the contract. An ijarah may consist of more than one lessor or lessee. Third is asset and usuf rights. Asset and usuf rights must valuables, identifiables, deliverables, and accessibles. The assets its usuf right shall be owned by the lessor. Types of assets in ijarah is tangible assets such as land, vehicles, buildings, and machine. Besides intangible assets such as trademark, patent, and intellectual property. Last, eligible assets such as Sharia compliance owned by the lessors and others. Fourth is rentals. Rental shall be determined and agreed by the contracting parties at the inception of the contract. From time to time, the contracting parties may mutually agree to revise the rental of the leased assets. For rental amounts, the rental must in fixed amount and via benchmarks or formula. For rental payment, method is should in cash or in kind and should in advance or deferred. Fifth is management. The right and liabilities arising from ownership shall be assumed by the lessor, while the right and liabilities from the usage of the leased asset shall be assumed by the lessee. Specific purpose is the lessee shall use the leased asset solely for the purpose, shall not contravene Sharia principles. The lessor shall only permit the lessee to use the leased asset for purposes that are in line with Sharia. Lastly is dissolutions. An ijarah contract can be dissolved in a number of circumstances. For example, mutual agreements to terminate total destructions of the leased asset. Determined and agreed is the period of an ijarah contract shall be determined and agreed between the contracting parties at the inception of the ijarah contract. Mutually agreed is variations to the periods of the ijarah contract is subject to mutual agreement of the contracting parties. Variation is the period of the ijarah contract may be varied after the inception of the ijarah contract.
So I will explain to you guys the procedure for the potential customers to apply the loan. So there are 3 persons who involved in this loan, which is the bank, the customers, and the dealers. Between the owner and the customers, there is a contract that is called ijarah contract. And for the dealer, there is a contract called sale and purchase contract. In this contract, the first thing to do is the bank will purchase the car from the dealer and the bank will lease the car to the customer. Then the dealer will deliver the car to the hires, and lastly, the hire will purchase the good and settle the contract, and they can get the car for themselves. So, what is the difference between ijarah and the hire purchase? In ijarah, the number of contract comprise 2, which is ijarah and al-bait. And for the hire purchase, only have a single contract that cover rental and sales aspect. The source of fund in ijarah is from halal fund, and for the hire purchase, the source of fund is no restriction. The acceptance letter for the ijarah is the customer has to sign akad letter to denote the offers and acceptance of transaction, and for the hire purchase there are no such an agreement. And insurance for ijarah is takaful, and for hire purchase is conventional. There are terms in ijarah and hire purchase. So the term for ijarah is financing, profit rate, markup, and late payment charge. And for the hire purchase, the term for hire purchase is loan interest rate, hiring charge, and late payment charge.
Al-Ijarah to Al-Bay have some advantage and disadvantage. The first advantage is principle. Aitab operates under Sharia principle. Based on the principles applied in this contract, all Muslims are more confident to be involved in this contract. This is because the contract use is allowed in Islam and is highly recommended. The second advantage is documentation. In this Aitab contract, it has two agreements, namely Al-Ijarah contract and Al-Bay contract. The purchase of Islamic hire purchase is also considered by adding cost to the amount profit agreed upon based on the Muabahah principle. The third advantage is participants. Both Aitab car financing and car rental financing can be used for everyone. It is designed to meet the needs of both Muslims as well as non-Muslim customers. The fourth advantages is early payment settlement. The customer will receive a rebate for the initial settlement under My Aitab financing. Customers are also entitled to a rebate to early settlement case. The first of these advantages is lack of awareness and cooperation among the dealers. Traders as intermediaries between financial institutions and customers. In the Malaysia context, customers usually approve the dealer first for the purpose of purchasing a particular vehicle before using the hire purchase facilities from a financial institution. The second of the disadvantages is the documentation. The documentation requirements for Aitab may seem more complicated than that of a conventional facility because it involves additional documents, acceptance, letter. Document must be present before the customer is sequenced. First, leasing, ijarah agreement. Second, sale and purchase agreement. The third of disadvantages is customer attitude. A large number of respondents admit that many customers do not really understand the basic difference between Aitab and conventional hire purchase facility. Customers do not seem to appreciate the difference of Aitab as a Sharia compliant product and in what way it provides them with better schemes and prospects. For the last of disadvantages is competition in the market. Another challenge that Aitab facilities have to face in the problem of competition with conventional hire purchase. This is especially true in the case of car financing, where conventional hire purchase has long established its names and reputation in the market.
So how customer meet repayment for the loan? In the 6-month payment deferment or moratorium for hire purchase or hire purchase I, in line with Bank Negara Malaysia announcement on 30 April 2020, customer who wish to participate in this moratorium will need to provide official confirmation. Here are some details to note of if you wish to participate in this deferment or moratorium. So, firstly, your hire purchase installment payment from 1 April to 30 September 2020 will be deferred. Second, your loan or financing tenure will be extended for 6 months. Third, there will be no additional interest or profit charged on your deferred installment. Your installment amount and monthly due date will remain the same post-moratorium. All other terms will also remain the same as per your hire purchase agreement.
Okay, for 6 months automatic payment deferments, moratoriums, except for the hire purchase I and credit cards. 2020, we granting for all types of RM. To be eligible, your loan or financing should not have any outstanding payment for more than 90 days at 1 April 2020. There are absolutely no steps you need to take to enjoy this break of paying your loan or financing. What if I do not wish to participate? Simply continue paying your monthly installment.
Terms and conditions in Aitab agreement are designed by lawyers on the basis of the Hire Purchase Act 1967 and the principles of contracts law, except for some modification made of this document to comply with Sharia requirements. Therefore, the documentation requirements for Aitab may seem more complicated because it involves additional document, which is acceptance letter. Document must be presented before customer in sequence. First, leasing agreement. Second, sale and purchase agreement. If the customer understands and agrees with the terms of the agreements, he may then sign the agreement. The customer must also be made aware of the consequences of signing every document so that he understands his rights and obligations under the Islamic Hire Purchase Agreement. Some banks even require customer to work off documents relating to the facility. Such requirements often burden the customer, especially when there is an error or mistake made by the customer, which may cause delay in the processing of the application. This is one of the reasons why some dealers recommend conventional hire purchase in order to speed up their customers' application.
For the next topic, we will continue to describe and give more explanation regarding the other factors and can give comprehensiveness about al-ijarah to al-bay. The first factor is regard about religious obligation. As we know, in Islamic principle, al-ijarah to al-bay is a phase of Islamic principle of knowledge concept. So many of the Muslim society use al-ijarah to al-bay as their business transaction and agreement. Al-ijarah is an Islamic question about the hire purchase by conventional. So al-ijarah is a divine commandment by Allah, referring Al-Quran and Al-Sunnah from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The al-ijarah to al-bay is can is more beneficial and more covers and guarantee the right of one party, such as sellers they have right, buyer have their right to in business and the promise in agreement. The next factor can give comprehensiveness about al-ijarah to al-bay is about social influence. In social influence is sometimes we get knowledge from our family, our friends, our teachers and our advisor to use the al-ijarah to al-bay as the agreement in making a hire purchase. The al-ijarah to al-bay is more beneficial and they get safety about the right of seller and buyers. So al-ijarah to al-bay is important to know because some part of non-Muslim do not know what the term and concept al-ijarah to al-bay. So because they don't know, the Muslim society need to sharing about the al-ijarah to al-bay concept to the non-knowledge people to following the al-ijarah to al-bay. For example, car dealers encourage to the buyers to use the al-ijarah to al-bay. So that is why the al-ijarah to al-bay can be a factor bring comprehensiveness and understanding to the buyers. Thank you.
Okay, for the other document relevant for Aitab financing is Police and Army IC. When the borrower is working as a army and police, lawyer document to support the default risk, document of Aitab agreement, marriage certificates if borrower is married, document for study when the borrower is still study, employer letter document when the borrower is still working, document for borrowers and dealers in Aitab, raw text document health verification from doctor if the borrower has healthy problem, disability and disease.
Assalamualaikum. I'm from Group 1 and my question is what happened to the ITAB agreement in the event of the death of the hirer?
Okay, I will answer the questions from Group 1. If the personal representative has obtained a letter of administration or grants of probate, the rights, title, and interest will be transferred to the personal representative, who will take over the representative of the hirer. Otherwise, the bank has the right to repossess the motor vehicles after defaults in 4 successive monthly installments.
Hi, I am Narzila. I have a question that I would like to ask. Let's say I have a car and my car was stolen. Do I still need to pay for the monthly installment of my stolen car? I hope you will answer this question. Thank you.
A good question from the Group 1. There is, do I have to pay the monthly installment when the car has stolen? The answer is mostly yes, because your liability to pay a monthly installment do not change the total loss of your motor vehicle, which it means that you need to pay liability to the bank as you agree to pay all the amount from about the car. However, you have to make opinion decision, which is you have to sign the agreement with insurance company about the car before it's been stolen. So the total loss car will be covered by the full financial insurance, such as full or others insurance company that may follow your market value of the car to claim to your fulfill your claim to them. So this is the answers about the car has been stolen. I need to pay the monthly installment. May it answer your question. Thank you.
My name is Abdul Afiq bin Abdul Razak. I have a question for Aitab. If I have defaulted on the monthly installment, can the bank claim from the guarantor? That is my question. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Nur Farsadira binti ROSDI. My matric number is 048922. So I will answer the Afiq question. So the answer is yes. The bank can claim the payment from the guarantor because the guarantor has agreed to undertake the liability to pay the outstanding amount in the event of your default.